We're going to have a discussion through headlines about 2026 and the impending either continuation of the collectibles boom or potentially the collapse. We are going through several articles. If you haven't seen, major news publications are suddenly talking all about these collectibles, and we're talking mainly about the physical kind. But the story that we're going to start off today is actually about one that is digital. So again, if you're joining, thank you so much. Would love for you to continue following along with the channel, because we go live Monday through Friday every single day to talk about the craziness that is happening out there. So Upper Deck, you might be familiar with them. They're one of the card producers out there, and collectible cards obviously going crazy, and particularly on just the high-end sales. It feels like there's different ones getting submitted to an auction all the time. Maybe not from Upper Deck necessarily, but from a bunch of the different brands, and we're seeing records being broken all the time. There was a die-cut Tom Brady one that I think was like the record for a non-rookie card that I saw a little bit earlier. But Upper Deck announcing that they're collaborating with TGL, which is a 3v3 golf league. And the question with this, if I may pose a question, is will you care about this? If you're a golf fan, if you're not a golf fan, clearly you wouldn't. But if you are, do you care that these are e-packs? Okay, so electronic, digitally created ones, they're $9.99. And again, it says e-pack right on there. I think that it is sort of funny as well that it's like, all of it is just labeled as like presented by SoFi. Like the entire thing is just presented by SoFi. So are we at a point now where like leagues and teams, if you've seen in esports, there was a team called Team Liquid, and there was a really stupid thing that a player did at one point that I think they lost their entire brand partnership. But at a point it was called like Honda Team Liquid. You know what I mean? They have like the sponsorship in front of it, and we've seen other variations of them, but it just comes across super weird when you look at it from just that sponsorship perspective. But Upper Deck, they're coming out with an e-pack card for the TGL League. If you're into golf, do you care about that? Again, you go check it out. They currently have 123,000 followers, but of course, reminder, it is presented by SoFi. Holy guacamole. Moving over to Riftbound, within their regional qualifiers, they had something that was super, super neat where they had specific cards. So if you went to that tournament playing a particular one, you potentially got it. And I thought that there was more photos of what they look like, but this is somebody that actually won one of the Lux ones, and there is a video accompanying it as well. So what do you think? Not too shabby. The world of cards continuing to inspire as the people of Florida as well within the sporting realm. Look at this. Since the 2000 mark, this is how much they've won. And in particular, since 2020, Buccaneers, Lightning twice, Panthers twice, and then Inter Miami. What a performance on the weekend. I've been a huge Major League Soccer advocate. I'm going to keep saying that. We have the World Cup happening in 2026 across North America. The fact that Miami ended up winning this, obviously it spurred a lot of things because people are like, oh my God, Miami paid for the trophy championship, whatever. But just North American soccer seems like it's coming back in full force, and I do think that that's going to be something to pay attention to. And within that, in the final, there was two teams, obviously, Inter Miami versus the Vancouver Whitecaps, and there's questions around the Vancouver Whitecaps of, are they going to stay? What's going on in that? And they got Thomas Mueller from Bayern Munich to finish out the second half of the season and obviously go to the championship. They fell short of that a little bit, but in my mind, I'm like, man, Vancouver Whitecaps, if they end up moving, does that not mean anything that's Whitecap related, if MLS continues to grow, is going to potentially have a lot of interest? So then I'm going along trying to find out, well, what does it look like for the Tops cards? Because Tops pretty much owns everything. Obviously, we looked at Upper Deck a second ago, but generally speaking, Tops is just the dominant force within trading cards. And when you look at this, it says like, get notified. Don't miss the next release of the 2025 Tops Inception MLS. This season just finished. Normally we have like video games and releases like before the season starts or like right as it begins. So why the hell has Topps not launched this Major League Soccer edition? Now, maybe there's something behind the scenes of maybe they knew or they were going to release it midway through the season, and then they had the likes of, you know, Thomas Mueller son for LAFC as well. And all these big names came and they're like, hold on, we're going to hold off on the release. We're going to add all of these big names and then release it a little bit later. Because again, the demand for those skyrocketing with those additions in the second half of the season of some major stars. But it's like, what the hell happened? Season's done. What is going on? And guys, we do have a new edition of the RWA Segments podcast. I talked with John Lemon from the Doge Pound. They gave some insights of things, and they're working with like a major Asian toy brand. They're working on having some experiences where you could have your kids talk to like your favorite character. And if you remember growing up at any point, and there was a certain show, and I know I talk about SpongeBob a lot, but let's use SpongeBob as an example. And if you could interact directly with SpongeBob, that's something that they're working on within their own IP, potentially more. If you're wanting to hear from one of the dog brands of the world, I'd love for you guys to check that out. If you're watching on YouTube, the link is in the description down below, or if you happen to be following me on X, the link is in the bio there, or if you just type in RWA Segments, you will find it. Note the I, not the E, within the name itself. Nick Kurtz, the American League Rookie of the Year, Silver Slugger, which is the best offensive player within a certain position. Second team MLB, all, I guess we call it like all pro team. One of his one-of-ones just went for $86,000, 620. Let me rephrase that word. $86,620. There we go. Sounds way better. Nuts. And apparently this person pulled it from a breaker for $110. But like, holy smokes. Every single day we are just seeing the most mind-boggling stats. And so let's pause for a second and go back to that conversation at the beginning of, all right, in 2026, is this going to be a collectibles boom? Well, people are talking about the golden era, and particularly within the crypto markets, we've seen a lot of companies within it go out and start tokenizing a lot of goods, which is something that we do cover on the RWA Segments podcast. But within that, they've gone, and we have a story from one of the founders that initially spent $500,000 going to auction and just buying all of the graded slabs that they possibly could. And there's several companies going and doing that. And so think about it from just that Pokemon perspective. Let's go over to the sports realm, which a lot of people are like, sports are even bigger. You have all these different leagues, and it's one of those things. Is there going to be a problem with the aspect of these companies potentially overprinting it all? There was a story the other day around PSA, the grading company that you see on here, where there was somebody that sent in cards to PSA, and PSA is now doing buybacks within there. And they were told, hey, your cards that you sent in, they were all grade 9s. And so they accepted offers thinking, all right, well, this is a grade 9. And then they looked back at their kind of receipts and was like, hold on, these 11 of the 30 submissions ended up coming back as 10s. And they were like, whoa, hold on. I just accepted a offer that you guys gave me for a PSA 9, and if you don't know how grading works, a PSA 9 to a 10, like, you don't think, okay, it's not going to be like that much, it's a small difference. It's usually pretty insane for getting those 10s. So that was something that got a lot of news stories. And so I feel like, generally speaking, the public relations aspect or the sentiment around some of these companies are pretty solid. But what if that craters a little bit? Because we've seen where we've like the reverse Dutch auction for Tops the other day. That one got some backlash, but again, people were buying some wax cases for a ton. And these are some of the stats on Kurtz as well, which is insane for a rookie. 36 home runs in a rookie season for the Oakland Athletics, and they moved. So isn't it like the Vegas Athletics now? Unreal. So then I came across this. Somebody created a display case that showed what the price of a card was in real time. So the concept of this, I think, is absolutely brilliant. However, I don't understand this if you're not like a store, because it's like, okay, let me just stare at the charts. Let me just stare at my charts and figure out what it's doing all the time. Like, I guess it's sort of addicting in a way, and it's really cool. But again, if you're if you're not a store, why the heck are you doing that? So jumping to some stories that we've seen, and I would challenge you in a way too. If you're somebody that scrolls news stories when you wake up, used to look at the paper right back in the day. Now it's all looking at different sites. I want you to notice anytime that collectibles get brought up, because we've seen an uproar, like beyond belief, an uproar. Where like this is a headline now from Yahoo Finance. Will Grinch Meal buzz and collectibles strategy meaningfully shift McDonald's brand relevance narrative? So we are looking at McDonald's, and Yahoo Finance is saying, all right, for the Grinch, is that going to bring back relevance to McDonald's? Which we've highlighted before, like last week, I believe. Maybe it was earlier this week. Wait, today's Monday. Excuse me. But there was collabs with Pokemon and McDonald's earlier in the year. There was supposed to be a collab with One Piece and McDonald's. And I feel last year, a ton of other collabs. I don't know, like, does McDonald's have a brand relevance issue? I don't know if that's necessarily the case. And so some of the points within that, in early December 2025, McDonald's rolled out a limited edition Grinch Meal and other seasonal tie-ins, such as Disneyland Resort's 70th Celebration Happy Meals, which sparked strong customer demand, social media buzz, and even merchandise shortages at some location. So again, the first line is like, this is good. So what the hell is the clickbait title? Beyond short-term holiday traffic, these promotions highlight how McDonald's is leaning on collectibles, nostalgia, and themed menu innovation to deepen engagement with adult consumers as well as families. We'll now consider how this Grinch Meal-driven surge in holiday engagement fits into McDonald's broader investment narrative around menu innovation and brand relevance. Okay, so again, we're not going through like the whole article, but again, 2 of the 3 points is already kind of like kiboshing what their like clickbait title was all about. Now, we're not getting a Grand Theft Auto this year, which sucks, but they are letting you know about their collectibles before the Christmas time is here. New at the Rockstar store, apparel, collectibles, and more. So have you ever actually gone and looked at what some of the collectibles are from Rockstar? And the Rockstar is the company that created Grand Theft Auto and a couple of other major video games, but you can see them. The Grand Theft Auto 5 sort of logo, Vinewood, the Rockstar logo itself, and some other pieces within there. And I think that that is sort of neat as well. If we go just like directly to the store, you can see there are shirts and other stuff. So maybe that's something you care about this holiday season and want to get for a friend or family member. So there you go. Now, 2 different articles that I want to highlight here before we encourage you to go check out the shorts. If you guys have seen on TikTok, we're doing like a Facebook page now, YouTube Shorts. We are cranking them out, and it's wildly successful and really, really cool to see. So MSN, we just looked at a McDonald's X Grinch Yahoo Finance article. Now MSN saying 12 valuable collectibles boomers refuse to toss out that are actually worthless. And this is just 3 days ago. So everybody's talking about this. So we'll go over the first, we'll do all 10. So Beanie Babies is number 1. Hummel figurines, which I don't really know what that is unless you go to like a mall and buy figurines, unless this is from like a Hallmark sort of store. Fine China sets, okay. Precious Moments figurines, which feels sort of the same as the other one, but maybe it's a different brand. TV promoted coin sets. This is why the article is for boomers and not younger people, because I have no idea what the hell that is. Avon bottles. I had a friend that his parent, when I was growing up, did Avon. I don't know what the hell an Avon. Avon manufactured more than 600 decorative bottle designs, many produced in huge batches during the 70s to 80s. While once charming, their outdated aesthetic and fragile shapes make them poor sellers today. Yeah, I don't know anybody that wants to get into Avon bottles, but if you haven't seen a Starbucks and their like Christmas bear, that is going off the rails. Different cups from Starbucks of all things. Crystal stemware, okay, porcelain doll collections, collectible plates, and then encyclopedias. When was the last time that you read an encyclopedia? And then we have AOL.com with kind of the exact same notion. Within the headline, 6 collectible fads that kept people broke, according to George Camel. And within there, let me make this a little bit bigger. So Beanie Babies, seems like that's one every time. Tickle Me Elmo, 1996. Furbies. Funko Pops, which those have been like wildly popular, but I've always kind of been like, I like the brands and stuff that they've associated with, but I don't think like the Funko Pops have ever looked like that great. That makes sense. Stanley Cups, the giant tumblers went viral on TikTok with special editions reselling for as much as $1,000 on eBay. Now prices are plummeting. Stanley Cups 2024. Let me try to look that up. Collectibles. Bom badom badom. I typed that in and the Dodgers one showed up. Oh, maybe this is. So these are the brand coins, maybe, because that was one that was brought up a second ago. But Fanatics and these other ones have commemorative Stanley Cups for $200. Is it these? I feel like I would have known like exactly what they're talking about. But maybe I don't. Anyway, so apparently that's one of the things that kept people broke. Labubu dolls in 2025. That was a wild trend. And if you haven't seen, Bratz is doing their own variation of them for like $25. But again, let's go full circle here. We have all these things that are happening within the collectible space. And now we're getting articles highlighting, hey, you know what? Collectibles are cool, but look at all these other things that have done really, really poorly. And so the question, or I guess thing that we have to sift out is what's going to be good, what's going to be bad. Collectibles in 2026, is it going to be a boom? Yo, Spartan, they are drinking cups. Mostly girls use them. Okay, cool. Oh, Stanley Cups. Bro, oh my God, I'm thinking about hockey here. No, I totally know the Stanley Cups. I have like one or two in the kitchen. Okay, I'm a complete idiot. Phenomenal. Spartan, you're the savior of the day. I'm thinking of Stanley Cups, and it's just the actual brand of Stanley. Hilarious. That's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. Spartan, thank you so much for coming on through. And guys, we are uploading like a ton of shorts and hope you guys enjoy those ones. It's been really cool to see the growth of the channel. I think we've gotten like 60,000 plus views over the past like 2.5 weeks from switching more to talking about collectibles as a whole. So we're going to continue to do so. And thank you so much for all the support. And I will catch you tomorrow. Peace.